What if the life you've been imagining isn't something you need to chase, but something you need to remember? You're not lost. You're just buried beneath everything you were never meant to carry. You wake up restless, achieving more, yet feeling less. Something's missing, and no one taught you where to look. So let me ask you, what if your dream life isn't ahead, but beneath what you've been trying to become? Stay with me, because this changes everything. Before we begin, subscribe to Deep Wisdom, where every video is a doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My life is awakening." And at the very end, I'll share the most powerful, overlooked truth that makes your imagined life inevitable, but most never realize it. Let's begin. 1. The life you imagine isn't a future, it's a forgotten memory. What if the life you imagine isn't a dream waiting to be built, but a truth waiting to be remembered? What if everything you're chasing isn't ahead of you, but within you? You already are what you are seeking. The peace, the clarity, the fulfillment, they're not destinations. They are your origin. You were born whole, but somewhere along the way, life taught you to forget. And so you began to search outside, when all along the answer was quietly waiting within. In Buddhism, we are not asked to become, we are asked to remember, to awaken. The Buddha did not teach us to construct a better version of ourselves. He taught us to peel away the illusions, to brush off the layers of dust we've allowed to settle on the manuscript of our soul. Like an old scroll buried beneath the clutter of opinions, fears, failures, and expectations, your truest self has been written already. But when was the last time you sat in silence long enough to read it? Modern life is loud. We are told to strive, to hustle, to chase the next version of success. But this noise, constant and urgent, pulls us away from our center. And in chasing so many shadows, we forget the light inside. We begin to believe the life we imagine is some far-off peak, something that comes after we work harder, look better, prove more. But here's the truth. The life you're imagining, it's not your future. It's your spiritual memory calling you back. Pause for a moment. Breathe slowly. Ask yourself, what part of me have I buried beneath responsibilities, fears, and the need to be enough? Who was I before the world told me who to be? If this message resonates, take a moment to like and subscribe. And in the comments, tell me, what part of yourself are you ready to remember? To live the life you imagine, you don't need to become more. You need to remove what's in the way. This is the core of Buddhist mindfulness, to see clearly without distortion, not to change the self, but to uncover it. Imagine brushing dust off an old mirror and seeing, maybe for the first time in years, the clarity that was always there. That clarity is not earned, it is revealed. So ask yourself, what if you stopped trying to change and simply began to remember? What if the next chapter of your life isn't something new, but something ancient, sacred, waiting patiently for your return? The life you're imagining isn't a fantasy. It's your truth, softly whispering beneath the noise. And maybe, just maybe, remembering it is the most courageous thing you'll ever do. Desire isn't the enemy. Attachment to its timing is. Why does the thing you desire most always feel just out of reach, especially when your heart is aching for it? Why does life seem to slow down the moment you beg it to move? In these moments, we forget a quiet truth whispered by the wise. The flower blooms when the season is right, not when you shout at it. It is not desire that causes suffering. It is our insistence that it must arrive now, in our way, on our schedule. But the sacred doesn't bloom under pressure. Buddhism teaches us that craving alone does not bind us. It is our attachment to timing, to outcome, to control, that tight grip that closes us off from peace. Like trying to force a seed to bloom by yelling, our impatience suffocates the natural rhythm. We disturb the soil with our urgency and wonder why nothing grows. But life has its own intelligence, and your dream, it is unfolding with it. Picture yourself sitting in stillness, your palms open. A soft breeze moves through you. You imagine the life you're longing for, not as something to chase, but as a delicate bud slowly unfolding into bloom. The petals stretch when they are ready, not before, not because you demanded, but because the season has whispered, now. In our modern pace, it's easy to confuse motion with meaning. To believe we must always push, always strive, always make it happen. But the truth is, what is meant for you is not waiting to be pushed. It is waiting to be received, and only a quiet mind can receive it. So pause and ask yourself gently, what in my life am I trying to rush that may still be growing beneath the surface? Am I trying to harvest before the roots have even taken hold? If you felt this inner tug of war between desire and impatience, let it go in the comments. Let it breathe. And don't forget to like and subscribe. This space is here for your inner peace. Learning to trust the timing of life is not weakness. It is deep spiritual strength. Patience is not inaction. It is listening. It is aligning. It is knowing that life will not give you something just because you shouted for it, but because you became ready to hold it with reverence. Your dream is not denying you. It is preparing you. The life you imagine is not far away. It's simply not in full bloom yet. But the roots are growing, quietly, deeply, powerfully. Let go of the schedule. Trust the season. And remember, the universe doesn't work on clocks. It works on readiness. What you chase often runs. What you welcome often stays. Why do things slip through your fingers the moment you try to hold on too tightly? Why does joy vanish when you chase it and peace disappear when you demand it? Buddhism teaches something subtle but profound. What you chase often runs. What you welcome often stays. Life, in its truest form, doesn't respond to force. It responds to presence. Imagine yourself in a quiet garden. A butterfly floats through the air. The more you reach for it, the more it flutters away. But when you sit still, calm, open, patient, it rests softly on your hand. This is how beauty finds you. This is how your imagined life unfolds. Not through control, but through stillness. Not through chasing, but through allowing. In our desire to secure what we love, success, peace, love itself, we grasp, we cling, we fear. We become like closed fists trying to hold water. But the tighter we hold, the more it slips through. Buddhism reminds us that clinging is the seed of suffering, not because desire is wrong, but because fear hides behind it. The fear that we are not enough without the thing we're reaching for. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe. Visualize your hand resting open. No grasping, no pulling, just presence. Into that space, life enters softly, like a butterfly that knows safety in stillness, like clarity that emerges only when the waters of the mind are still. So ask yourself, what in your life are you holding too tightly? What are you trying to control that might actually need space to breathe? Could it be that your imagined life is not something you run toward, but something that settles in when you create space for it? If this resonates, let me know in the comments. What are you choosing to welcome instead of chase? And if you haven't already, like and subscribe. This space is for those ready to surrender the chase and receive with grace. The deepest truths are often the quietest. Your best ideas come in silence. Your deepest peace comes when you stop searching for it. The life you imagine is no different. It is not hiding behind effort. It is hiding behind fear, behind the tension in your grip. The more you soften, the clearer it becomes. Remember, grasping hands miss the gift that lands gently. Don't pursue your dream with desperation. Receive it with devotion. It will come not because you demanded it, but because you became still enough to invite it in. Let the butterfly land. Let the imagined life arrive. Stillness is not waiting. It is readiness. Let go of who you're pretending to be. What if the life you're dreaming of is not avoiding you, but waiting for you to finally arrive without the mask? What if the peace, the purpose, the love are not lost, but simply cannot find the one pretending? In Buddhism, freedom cannot be entered through illusion. Only the truth can walk that path. We wear many masks: successful, strong, busy, likable. Over time, we forget we're wearing them. We think the world wants the polished version, so we hide the parts that tremble, that feel unsure, that long for simplicity. But here's the wisdom we forget. Your imagined life doesn't recognize your disguise. It was written for your real face, your real self. And until you return to that, life keeps waiting outside the door. Like an actor playing a role for too long, we begin to confuse the part with the person. We perform confidence when we feel doubt. We speak of dreams while living in fear, but the soul knows, and it grows tired. Pretending is heavy. It may win applause, but it loses alignment. Picture yourself standing in front of a mirror. Not the mirror others see, but the one that reflects your inner world. Slowly, gently, you lift the mask. Beneath it, your eyes meet your own gaze. Not perfect, not flawless, but honest. And in that moment, you feel a soft recognition. You've come home. Ask yourself, who am I when no one is watching? What do I long to say when I'm not performing? This is not about abandoning everything. It's about returning to something. Your essence, your truth, your still, quiet center. If something in your heart stirred, share it in the comments. And subscribe to this space where masks fall away and truth rises gently. Letting go of the role you've rehearsed for years is scary, but it is also sacred. Because once the mask falls, the real you can breathe. And when the real you shows up, so does the life you imagined. Not the life built on performance, but the one aligned with peace, integrity, and presence. Buddhism reminds us that truth liberates, not because it's easy, but because it's light. And light is what the imagined life needs to find you. The truth doesn't need to be loud, it only needs to be lived. So, who must you stop pretending to be in order to finally become who you already are? Because freedom isn't waiting for the version you're trying to perfect. It's waiting for the self you buried long ago. Take off the mask, step into your life. You'll be surprised who's been waiting for you. Stillness isn't inaction, it's alignment. Why do you feel so stuck, even when you're doing everything? Why, despite all your movement, do you feel no progress? The answer isn't always in doing more. Often it's in doing less, but with awareness. Buddhism teaches us that stillness isn't inaction, it's alignment. It's not the absence of movement, but the presence of clarity. Like trying to see your reflection in a stormy lake, your truest life cannot be revealed in chaos. The The more you stir the waters, the more distorted your vision becomes. But when you breathe, slow, and let the surface settle, something quiet begins to appear. A glimpse, a truth. Your own face staring back, clear and unshaken. In a world obsessed with busyness, we often confuse activity with purpose. But not all movement is progress. Some is avoidance, some is fear in disguise. Ask yourself, am I moving because it's aligned with my soul, or because I'm afraid to be still with myself? Buddhist wisdom invites us to sit in the center of our own life, not as a controller, but as an observer. The more we align with what is true rather than what is loud, the more effortlessly our imagined life begins to take shape. Not because we forced it, but because we became still enough to notice the path. Close your eyes, breathe deeply. Picture a calm lake at dawn. Each breath settles the ripples. Each moment of stillness sharpens your reflection. You are not lost, you are simply clouded. And in this quiet, you begin to see who you truly are and where you're truly meant to go. If this resonates, let your heart speak in the comments. What's one area of life where stillness feels scary? And if this message brings you peace, subscribe to stay connected to these moments of inner truth. There's a reason the stars only reflect in still water. Your most sacred visions, your deepest knowing, only arise in the quiet. You do not need to chase your imagined life. You need to make space for it to arrive. And space is created through alignment, not rushing, not fixing, just realignment. Let this be your reminder. It's not weakness to pause, it's wisdom. The life you've been imagining will not come faster by moving harder. It will come when your inner world becomes quiet enough to receive it. So stop, breathe, let the ripples settle. Stillness is not where nothing happens, it's where everything begins. 6. Your suffering isn't from life, it's from your expectations of it. What if pain isn't the true problem, but your refusal to let it move through you is? What if the heaviness you carry isn't from what happened, but from the way you expected things to be? Buddhism gently reminds us, pain is real. Suffering is resistance. Life brings its share of difficulties, but it is our expectations of how things should have been that tighten the grip. Picture yourself holding a glowing coal, not because someone placed it there, but because you won't let it go. You tell yourself it should have gone differently, that they should have stayed, that it should have worked, and so you cling. But with each moment, the coal burns deeper, not because of life's fire, but because of your grip. The flame did its part. The pain came and went. But you held on. We suffer most, not from what is, but from what we wish it wasn't. I should have been further. They should have understood me. It wasn't supposed to end like this. These thoughts don't soothe us. They trap us. They tie us to a version of reality that no longer exists. And in that tightrope between what is and what we imagined, suffering is born. Buddhist wisdom offers another way, to loosen the grip, to trust that acceptance is not defeat, it is release. Like unclenching your hand and letting the coal fall to the ground, there is pain, yes. But now there is space for healing. Now the burning can stop. Close your eyes, breathe deeply. Visualize the moment you decide not to fight what already is. You allow it. You feel the sting, but you stop narrating it. You stop adding the weight of should and why me. And in that stillness, there's peace. What expectation are you still gripping? What painful story are you repeating to yourself that may be keeping you stuck? Share it in the comments. This is a space for gentle release. And if this moment brings you peace, like and subscribe to stay on this quiet path with us. Freedom begins the moment we stop insisting that life owes us anything different. That doesn't mean we don't feel. It means we stop fueling the fire. The imagined life you seek is not one without pain. It's one where pain no longer controls you. It moves through and it moves on. You are stronger than your expectations. Let go. Let life be what it is, and you'll discover that what remains is always more peaceful than the fight. Suffering doesn't come from life. It comes from holding too tightly to how you thought life would be. The self that suffers can also awaken. Can the version of you that feels broken also be the one that begins again? Can the very self that aches, that doubts, that bends beneath the weight of life also be the self that awakens? In the silence of Buddhist wisdom, the answer is yes. Yes, the crack is not the end. The crack is where the light enters. You do not need to be perfect to begin. You only need to be open. There's an ancient art in Japan called kintsugi, where broken bowls are mended not with invisible glue, but with golden lacquer. The fracture is not hidden, it is honored. And so, the place that once broke becomes the place that shines brightest. That's how awakening happens, not by erasing your wounds, but by illuminating them with presence. So many of us wait to feel whole before we start. We wait to feel strong before we speak, or peaceful before we act. But the truth is, your healing does not begin once you're fixed. It begins the moment you meet your brokenness with compassion. That's where transformation begins, not in spite of the pain, but through it. Visualize your heart for a moment. The parts that have cracked from loss, from failure, from rejection. Now imagine a golden light slowly weaving through each fracture. It doesn't cover the break, it enhances it. The pain didn't destroy you. It revealed the depth of your soul, and through that opening, you begin to see more clearly. Ask yourself now, where do I feel broken? And what if that's the very place life is trying to bloom through me? Can you hold your ache without shame? Can you welcome the lesson inside the pain? If this speaks to you, share in the comments. What part of you is healing, and how are you allowing light to enter? And if this moment brought peace to your heart, subscribe. You're not alone on this path. Buddhism doesn't promise that we won't suffer. It promises that suffering can wake us up. Every tear carves a deeper space for joy. Every fall teaches the rhythm of rising. The very self that feels lost is also the self that is learning the way back home. You do not need to be fearless. You only need to be honest. You only need to stand with your truth long enough for it to become your strength. And when you do, your cracks will no longer be something to hide. They'll be something that glows. You are not broken beyond repair. You are broken open for something deeper. Let the light in. Let the gold mend what was torn. The self that suffers is also the self that can awaken. Peace isn't found later. It's chosen now. What if peace isn't something you find after the storm, but something you become in the heart of it? What if the stillness you seek isn't hiding in a perfect day, a resolved situation, or a future achievement, but is already here, quietly waiting beneath the noise? Buddhism teaches us something radical and beautifully freeing. Peace isn't found later, it's chosen now. Most of us live as if peace is a destination. We tell ourselves, once I finish this, once they understand, once life calms down, then I'll rest. Then I'll feel calm. But life rarely offers that pause. One storm passes and another begins. The seasons turn, the winds rise, the mind races. But amidst it all, there is something deeper, something quieter, like a flame that does not flicker in the wind. That flame is peace, not after the chaos, but within it. Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of a storm, yet there's a white glow around you, gentle, steady, warm. You breathe in deeply, and though the world moves fast, you remain still. You are not disconnected from life. You are simply anchored in something more stable. Not circumstances, not outcomes, but presence. Peace is not escape, it is arrival. We suffer when we postpone our peace, when we tie it to conditions. I'll be okay when I get that job. I'll feel calm once I'm in control. I'll relax once I'm no longer afraid. But these are illusions. They promise a peace that always lives in the next moment. And Buddhism reminds us, peace begins the moment you no longer seek it elsewhere. Take a deep breath. Visualize that soft glow surrounding you. Feel it expand with every inhale. Let it remind you that you don't need to wait for life to be perfect to be present. The path to peace is not paved by controlling the outer world. It begins when you stop running from the inner one. Ask yourself, where in your life are you postponing peace? What situations are you waiting to fix before allowing yourself to breathe, to rest, to soften? And what would it mean to choose peace now, even while the work is unfinished? If that reflection stirs something within you, leave a comment. What part of your life will you stop postponing peace in? And if this moment brings stillness, subscribe. Let this space be a reminder that peace is never far. It's always one breath closer. You don't need to earn peace. You are peace. Beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the striving, there is a presence in you that cannot be touched. It's not given by life. It's revealed when you stop resisting it. The life you've been imagining doesn't need a quieter world. It needs a quieter mind. And that stillness, you can choose it now. Let life happen. It's wiser than your plans. What if the life you're imagining is not too far, but too small? What if your plans, carefully drawn, tightly held, are the very thing narrowing what life longs to give you? Buddhism teaches us that control is often the greatest illusion. The river flows without needing your map. It already knows the way. You don't need to force the current. You need only to stop resisting it. We spend so much of our energy planning, predicting, trying to control every bend and twist. We think if we steer hard enough, we'll reach a place that finally feels right. But the more we grip the stick, the more we stir up the water. Like trying to steer a river with your hands, all you do is disturb what could have carried you effortlessly if only you had surrendered. Imagine for a moment, you are lying gently on your back in a wide, quiet river. The sky above is open. The water beneath is calm. You stop paddling. You stop forcing. You let go of the map. And the river begins to carry you, not to a place you expected, but to a place you needed. That is the wisdom of life. It doesn't follow your timeline. It doesn't take your directions, but it never forgets where you're meant to go. In Buddhism, this is the essence of trust, to let life happen without constantly interfering. Not because we are passive, but because we understand our true power is in presence, not in pressure. You are not here to dominate life. You are here to dance with it. Ask yourself softly, where am I still forcing what could be flowing? Where am I gripping control, believing I know better than life itself? And what might open if I simply trusted more? If you've ever felt the exhaustion of always needing to know, always needing to be in charge, share it in the comments. Let this be a space where we all lay down the burden of control. And if this message brings a little more ease into your day, subscribe. This space is here to help you come home to trust. You may think surrender is the same as giving up, but it's not. Giving up is rooted in despair. Surrender is rooted in wisdom. It's the wisdom to say, maybe I don't need to have all the answers. Maybe life already does. The life you've been imagining may not be a destination you reach through effort, but a current you join through surrender. And once you float, once you trust the flow, you realize that what life offers is not just more than your plan. It's better. Let go of the stick. Trust the river. Let life take you somewhere even your dreams were too small to imagine. Don't manifest, remember. What if the life you're trying so hard to manifest is not something to build, but something to remember? What if the answers you seek are not waiting in the world, but gently echoing within you, hoping you'll finally turn down the noise to hear them? Buddhism teaches us that our truest path isn't something new. It's something ancient, something already known. What's meant for you echoes within, not outside. In today's world, we're told to create, to chase, to manifest, to visualize and control and design our future like an architect building from nothing. But what if your life is not blank? What if it's more like a beautiful, forgotten memory, softly sleeping beneath the surface? You are not here to become something unnatural. You are here to return to who you've always been. Imagine waking from amnesia. Slowly, the fog clears. Familiar feelings arise. You recognize the road, the rhythm, the quiet knowing that you've walked this path before. That is what it feels like to live the life you've been imagining, not as something you force, but as something you recall. Not like a blueprint, but like a melody long forgotten, humming inside your bones. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Picture tuning a frequency, like an old radio dial, searching through static. Then, you hear it. A voice. Not loud, but steady. Not new, but familiar. It says, you already know, you already are. Come back. This is the voice of your truth. It doesn't command, it remembers. Ask yourself gently, what inner voice have I silenced in the noise of the world? What vision, what calling, what knowing have I buried under layers of doubt, performance, and pressure? Maybe the life you desire is not something to manifest into existence, but something to uncover and live into. If this reflection resonates, share it in the comments. What are you remembering about yourself today? And if this message helps you reconnect with your inner knowing, subscribe. This space is for those walking home to themselves. You don't need to create the best version of your life. You need to remember the most honest version, the one that doesn't chase applause or perfection or control, but peace, the one that existed before fear, before pressure, before comparison. Buddhist wisdom tells us the truth isn't far, it's simply quiet. It's beneath the layers you've been taught to wear, beneath the roles, the noise, the striving. And when you slow down, when you get still enough to listen, it rises like incense in the dark. You don't need to manifest your destiny, you need to remember your essence, because the life you're imagining isn't a fantasy. It's a memory calling you home. You don't need to prove yourself. You need to return to yourself. What if the life you're chasing isn't something to achieve, but something to return to? In a world that constantly whispers, be more, do more, prove yourself. Buddhism offers a softer truth. You were never broken, you were only buried. Under layers of expectations, performances, and borrowed dreams, your true self has always been waiting, quietly, patiently, like an ancient tree, unmoved by the storm. The oak doesn't scream to prove its strength. It doesn't ask the forest for validation. It simply grows, rooted, expansive, full. That is what your soul is asking for. Not applause, not perfection, but presence. You don't need to perform your worth. You only need to embody it. Sit still for a moment. Close your eyes and imagine yourself like that oak tree, rooted deep into the earth. Your strength doesn't come from how high you stretch, but how deeply you're grounded. Feel each breath anchoring you. Feel your worth not as something you chase, but something you remember. Ask yourself gently, where am I still performing? Where am I bending myself into shapes just to be seen, just to be accepted? What if success isn't about becoming someone impressive, but about returning to someone true? You see, the world trains us to earn our right to rest, to hustle for peace, to accumulate achievements as proof that we matter. But truth doesn't require trophies. The deepest lives aren't loud, they're whole. And that wholeness isn't found in a resume or a title or an audience. It's found in the silence of knowing, I am enough, even when I'm not being watched. There is no prize at the end of pretending. There is only exhaustion. And there is no finish line for proving, only an empty race that never ends. But the moment you stop running, the moment you return inward, life softens. And in that stillness, you realize you were already home. Can you live your life not from a place of proving, but from a place of being? Can you let go of the performance, the mask, the need to earn your place, and simply stand in it? Like the tree, not demanding to be noticed, yet impossible to ignore. Ask yourself now, who am I when there's nothing left to prove? What version of me breathes deeper, loves freer, lives lighter, when I am not performing, but present? The truth is, you don't need to climb to become worthy. You need to root to become real. And the more you return to yourself, the more the life you've been imagining will begin to recognize you. Because now, you're no longer trying to be someone. You're simply being. This is the quiet power of self-return. This is how you live the life you've been imagining. Not by becoming more, but by becoming you. Bonus lesson. The life you've imagined is already trying to reach you. What if the life you've been imagining isn't somewhere far away, but standing right behind the door you've been too busy to open? We chase visions, we strive, we struggle, we knock endlessly on doors that don't budge. But what if the knocking is coming from the inside? What if the very life you're yearning for has been gently, patiently calling your name? Not with noise, but with stillness. There is a deep teaching in Buddhism. The harder you chase, the further things seem to run. But the moment you pause, the moment you become still, something begins to shift. The very thing you were trying to grasp begins to approach. Not because you earned it, but because you finally noticed it was already there. Picture this. You're standing before a wooden door. You've been pounding on it, asking life to let you in, asking for signs, for success, for peace. But now, in this moment, you stop knocking. You place your hand on the handle, breathe deeply, and open it. Slowly, silently. And there it is, your imagined life, not as a fantasy, but as a presence, a quiet, steady smile. It had been waiting, not for your effort, but for your awareness. So often, we confuse busyness with progress. We rush, we plan, we fight for outcomes, all while missing what's right in front of us. We say we're searching for alignment, but are we really just running from the silence that would reveal it? Sometimes, the truest form of courage isn't to do more, it's to stop, to pause long enough to hear what's already whispering. The life you've imagined, the one that feels whole, peaceful, inspired. It's not a prize for your productivity. It's an invitation. And it's not far off. It's woven into this very breath, this very moment. What if today, instead of chasing, you listened? What if you asked, what has been trying to find me that I keep running past? In your relationships, your work, your inner voice. What if something beautiful is already present, simply waiting for your stillness to receive it? You don't have to exhaust yourself to become. You only need to awaken to what's already true. Like a seed that doesn't demand the sun, it only opens when the conditions are still enough. And perhaps your dream is the same, not something to chase, but something to welcome. So pause, breathe, open the door slowly. Let life meet you where you are. Let the imagined life stop being a dream and start becoming your experience. Not later, not someday, but now, in the sacred quiet where truth begins. Quick summary of the lessons. The life you imagine isn't a future, it's a forgotten memory. The life you're dreaming of isn't something you need to chase. It's already within you, buried under layers of distraction, fear, and conditioning. You don't need to build it, you need to remember it. Rediscovery is more powerful than pursuit. Desire isn't the enemy. Attachment to its timing is. There's nothing wrong with desire. The suffering begins when you cling to when and how it must happen. Trust the natural unfolding. Release control of the timeline, and life begins to move with ease, not resistance. What you chase often runs. What you welcome often stays. The tighter you cling, the more things slip away. The life you want flows toward openness, not force. Instead of chasing what you want, become the space in which it can arrive. Let it come to you, softly. Let go of who you're pretending to be. To truly receive the life you imagine, you must release the identities you've built for approval or survival. The imagined life is waiting for the real you, not the version you perform. Be honest, be raw, be authentic. Stillness isn't inaction, it's alignment. Stillness isn't laziness or giving up. It's a sacred space where clarity is born. When you stop running, the truth has room to speak. Align with your deeper self before you move, and your actions will carry peace. Your suffering isn't from life. It's from your expectations of it. Life rarely causes as much pain as our unmet expectations of it. The imagined life requires presence, not perfection. When you drop your demands, peace begins to rise. Acceptance becomes your liberation. The self that suffers can also awaken. The pain you feel isn't a sign of failure. It's often the beginning of your awakening. What breaks you can also open you. Don't run from your suffering. Meet it with gentleness and grow through it. Peace isn't found later, it's chosen now. Peace isn't something you arrive at once life gets better. It's a state you return to regardless of life. Your imagined life is not just beautiful, it's peaceful. Choose peace first, and beauty will follow. Let life happen. It's wiser than your plans. The mind makes plans, but the soul has a path. Let go of micromanaging every outcome. The life you imagine might be greater than what you're trying to control. Allow space for life to surprise you. Don't manifest. Remember, you don't need to endlessly manifest the life you want. You only need to remember what your soul has always known. Deep within you is a blueprint. Let go of efforting and come back to your knowing. You don't need to prove yourself. You need to return to yourself. Your imagined life won't come through external validation. It begins the moment you stop performing and start embodying. Your presence, not your performance, is your power. Come home to yourself. The life you've imagined is already trying to reach you. You don't have to chase your dream life. You just need to quiet down and open the door. It's already approaching, but it can't find you in your noise. Make space, become still, and receive. You've been taught to chase, hustle, and force your way into the life you desire. But what if the real path is quieter, softer? What if your imagined life has never been missing, only silenced beneath all the noise of striving? You're not as far away from it as you think. In truth, you're only a breath away, a pause away from remembering who you really are. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that detachment is not about giving up your dreams. It's about giving up your suffering. When you let go of the desperate grip, life flows. When you release who you're not, your true life begins to rise. Inner peace, clarity, success, all become inevitable when you're no longer fighting for them. Because you stop chasing what was never lost. You begin to live in harmony with it. When you realize you lack nothing, the whole world belongs to you. So take a breath, be still, and listen. The life you've been imagining has been waiting for you to stop imagining and start embodying. For more wisdom, like and share this video, share your reflections in the comment box, and subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful, awakened life.